Time being 7 o'clock, I'll call the February 24th, 2020 meeting of the Oxford Zoning Board to order. First on the agenda, plans not requiring subdivision approval, we have none. I'll go down the agenda and entertain a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th, 2020.
I'll make that a motion.
Second.
Any discussion, any issues? Being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. Unanimous. Yeah, we'll wait.
Wait on that. Yeah, I would wait on that.
Just trying to see if there's something else we
Oh,
can.
what about this? Kathy's way, did you see that? Streetlights.
Yeah, that's something that was part of our decision, our approval on Kathy's Way. They have to put 2 streetlights up.
Yeah.
DPW is taking care of that.
That's not up to the, that's not the town's problem, though.
Well, I think,
That's what they were asking.
No. Huh?
I think National Grid was asking whether the town requires it.
Yeah, it was built
Yeah.
into the, we've always put
That's required,
streetlights
that's
in
all
all our
required,
subdivisions.
okay.
yeah, according to this, they have to put in 2.
Let me give you a little report about our tech review meeting with Eastland, tell you what's going on there. We did meet with them, this is development up on Ashwood. The reason I'm bringing it up is one of the things we had talked about, and Mary and I talked to them about it, about the housing, the cluster development.
Cluster development bylaw.
And what they're gonna do, and I did check with you first, Rich, and I mentioned that to them. They're gonna work with the fire department and the building inspector. I think we might have to tweak our bylaw. From looking at it, they think it's inconsistent, but anyway, the fire department has some concerns, can't say it tonight. They'll work with him and the building inspector about working on that cluster development, so that should help us out. One of the things they might wanna do, we might wanna do it, is condense the whole project. Anyway, that's what we talked about regarding that particular thing. The project is more condensed than the original one, I can tell you that. We talked about a number of things that I'm sure you're gonna bring up at the meeting, but they are gonna be coming before us, I just wanna let the board aware of that. And again, the fire department and the building inspector are working with them on the cluster development bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Norman. We do have in our packet, we had a memo from the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission. As per statute, they let us know that the town of Oxford is going to be charged $4,024 for fiscal year 2021. And I want to remind this board, we got new members here, we don't have a representative for the CMRPC. So, as a board, we lack that. I think if anyone would like to change
When do they
that,
meet?
I believe they meet quarterly. I don't know the exact dates, but they meet
I
quarterly.
mean, I'll volunteer for that if you need me.
Congratulations. You could pursue getting,
Easiest election I've ever done.
great,
It's go quick.
there you go.
Second.
Appreciate your volunteering.
Stepping up.
You said that no longer?
I think that's terrific. Seriously, I think it's good.
Okay.
Good.
You wanna
I think
vote
isn't
on that,
Dennis
Mary?
Lamarche
I
to
think
bring
we
a
should
vote?
vote on
Yeah,
that.
So,
Make a motion.
I nominate Craig to be a representative for Central Mass Regional Planning.
I second it.
Planning board,
For
yeah.
the planning board.
Norman seconded. Further discussion? There being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, carried.
Nobody wanted to fight each other?
No.
We're easy to get
That's
along
why
with.
it's vacant.
That's why it's vacant.
What would each of those things?
I mean, we probably should have checked with Dale and Chris, but
Yeah, no,
they had their chance the last
yeah,
5
yeah,
years.
we tried, that's
Right.
right.
I have a quick item.
Okay.
I got an email from CPTC, Citizen Planner Training Collaborative. They're going to have their annual March conference at Holy Cross. And for new members, they offer classes, roles and responsibilities of planning and zoning boards, a site plan review. If they might have a class on solar, pre-existing non-conforming properties, $75 at Holy Cross. If anybody's interested, let me know, and I can get you registered.
The town pays for it, right?
I
Or do
believe
they have
it's
to pay?
March,
No, it's, who pays for it?
oh, the town will pay for it. We have a line item
Yeah.
in the budget
I know.
for education and dues. It's on a Saturday, it's either the 14th or the 21st of March, probably the 21st.
I'm up there.
Let me know, I think I sent you all an email.
Yeah.
Food was delicious.
Okay, time being 7:05.
Sometimes we keep it, yeah.
We have the continued public hearing on 191 Old Webster Road. Application for modification of special permit, site plan review and approval, stormwater management permit, land disturbance permit. Applicant, Solar MA Project Management LLC. We have a couple pieces of correspondence since our last meeting. I'll read them into the record, dated February 24th, 2020. From Graves Engineering Incorporated. Dear Planning Board members, we received the following document on February 3rd, 2020. Via email, the as-built plans entitled Proposed Solar Array Located at 191 Old Webster Road, Oxford, Massachusetts, 9540. Dated January 29th, 2015, and last revised January 22nd, 2020. Final set update prepared by Burton Engineering. Graves Engineering was requested to review the as-built plans for conformance with the approved plans and approved plan modifications. For this review, we referred to plans last revised May 22nd, 2018, and plans modified last revised May 10th, 2019. Graves was authorized to proceed with the review on February 20th, 2020. Comments as followed. The as-built plan review. Sheet comp-1 is the as-built plan sheet based upon Graves' review of sheet comp-1. It appears that the drainage infrastructure was constructed substantially in conformance with the approved plans and approved plan modifications. On sheet comp-1, a drainage pipe cleanout, parentheses, CO-1, should have been installed between basin 1 and the drain manhole, DMH. CO-1 should be labeled to identify its location in case future access into the cleanout is required. 3. Graves understands that the adequacy of the site access for emergency response purposes was and will be addressed by applicable Oxford departments. I trust that this letter addresses your review requirements. Please feel free to contact us. Okay. Dated Sunday, February 23rd, 2020, from Charles Murphy of the solar project. He says, Mary, please forward to the planning board members. I would like them to see some additional information pertaining to my concerns with the level spreader. Attached, find the PDF files for the level spreader and the photo I took. On page 3 of the PDF plans, it clearly shows that the top of the concrete wall installed as part of the level spreader should be level with the bottom of the discharge pipe. I measured the difference, and the bottom of the discharge pipe is 24 inches below the top of the concrete wall, creating the problem I mentioned in my previous letter. It appears that, once again, part of this drainage system has been incorrectly constructed. And Charlie is in here to express his concerns regarding that. But Mary also had Jeff Walsh review Charlie's memo, and he said, Mr. Murphy pointed out correctly that as constructed, the inlet pipe for the level spreader is lower than shown on the level spreader detail at the top of page 3 of the plans. However, the level spreader detail is not consistent with the elevation shown further down on page 3. The pipe invert, the inside bottom of the pipe, was proposed at elevation 564 feet, and the same elevation at the bottom of the level spreader impound. The spillway was proposed to be at elevation 565.5 feet. In short, the height of the discharge pipe compared to the level spreader impound is not essential to how the level spreader operates. The intent of the level spreader and its impound is to create a level pool of water next to these spillways so that the water is spread out and discharges over the entire length of the spillway. Also, I understand 2 other concerns have been raised. I'd like to comment on both those concerns. One concern, ice could restrict the flow of water into the level spreader. His comment is, ice could restrict the flow of water, but even in cold conditions, water flowing past a partial ice blockage will melt the blockage and even dislodge a partial blockage within the pipe as the ice melts, therefore returning to a full diameter of pipe to a usable condition. Water remaining in the level spreader impound infiltrates into the underlying soils. My experience with this type of impound is that the ice may form at the water surface, but as the water infiltrates, the ice falls to the bottom of the impound. The potential for blockage of an entire bore of a 10-inch pipe by ice seems remote. 2, concern, water level of the impoundment at the level spreader could rise to a point where it will not allow water to flow from basin 1 into the level spreader. Comment. The invert of a 10-inch pipe at basin 1 is about 4 feet higher than the spillway at the level spreader. Even if water is impounded in the level spreader up to the spillway, the lower section of the 10-inch pipe is submerged and is therefore enough elevation to drive the water through the pipe. Hence, go over that splash pipe on the other side of the solar system. So that's all the information I have. I was concerned, he brought up this comp-1 sheet. Some questions. I think he's interpreting through it, but he's basically saying you should call out CO-1.
I think he was saying that they didn't put it in, right?
No, we did, we put it in.
Oh.
It's just wasn't marked.
It has to be labeled on.
It has to be labeled. So Pedro and I talked to Burton, they did pick it up. It's gonna be put on the plan. We were trying to get it to you today, but the gentleman was on vacation, so we'll have it to you in the next couple of days. So it'll be updated with that. But yes, there was a clean out installed as per the plans.
Okay. Charlie, you want to?
Yeah, I still have a couple concerns.
It's okay, I understand your concerns, and if I was you, I'd be concerned too.
It didn't really appear until in Charlie Murphy Town and Country Lane. And those concerns did not appear until, I was like back in January, we had, minor, it's a regular everyday rainstorm. Went over just to kind of see how things were. In the initial basin, had water in it, it's dissipated, not a lot, it's probably about maybe a foot below that discharge pipe, all right? Get around and did you see the picture of the other? All
Yeah.
right, so now where the level spreader is, it's already halfway up the pipe. Water never went through that pipe. That is just from the topography, the land, when they built that level spreader, the water from the adjacent area is filling up the level spreader like it's a pond. All right, so I started thinking about it and I took some pictures and just wanted to kind of scratch my head a little bit. I went back and I looked at that PDF of the level spreader, and I looked at the topography, I looked at the numbers to, where things were. And, he's right, it's about 4 feet higher, that's fine, and when water does hit that pipe, it's gonna drain. But this is the thing, by the time that we start draining the initial basin into the level spreader, pretty good chance that pipe's gonna be almost full. All right, it was half full with what we had. There's a good chance it could be full depending on how much rain or what kind of event you have. There's water in there before water from the original basin even starts going out of that pipe. Where the wall is 2 feet over from the bottom of the pipe, the discharge side of the level spreader, it's got to be way back on that pipe. And like you mentioned, due to the elevation, will water actually still, eventually get there? It will, but it's going to be slowed down considerably. If that pipe is underwater, it's almost like a back pressure, if that's the right word. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology to use. But it's going to slow it down. The whole point of why they actually put that in is, if you recall, we were getting flooded.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was, Sean Dival, got involved, and he called him and he says, hey, can we get this over to that pond, get it over to the swamp? So that's what I kind of figured all along was going on. At this point, it looks as if, especially the way this was constructed, and I don't recall, and I've been kind of trying to stay, up to date on all these things that get changed. And if I recall, this board has been a little upset, not with this gentleman here, but the original people with Seaboard, because they never spoke a true word in their life. The whole purpose is to get rid of the water quickly, all right, so it can go. But now what we have is we have a 2-foot differential, all right? If you looked at the plans, it looked as if it's gonna come out and it's gonna just go straight out and across. So the level spreader, so this is like a 30-foot concrete wall. I get that, as opposed to just say coming out of a 10-inch pipe or whatever size. You're not gonna have that erosion just going right out and going down that hill. It's gonna be out over like 30 feet, so it's gonna be like a nice gradual waterfall. Well, the problem is that gradual waterfall isn't gonna happen until there's a rise of 2 feet of water, which by the time, it's already coming into my yard. I guarantee you that. I put my life savings on that. It's just not gonna happen. The last time we were here because of a significant event, that event didn't stop after Sean Duvall and one of his foremen, came up and saw us. 24 hours later, I come home from work and it's still going good. The volume of water is incredible. And you know that my whole feeling of the size of that pipe wasn't adequate, but they had engineering firms say, yeah, everything is good to go. But now you look at it and it's not even constructed to the way the original design was. When it leaves the pipe, it needs to leave the solar farm property and go down that hill. If it backs up, it's only gonna present a problem. As far as on his letter saying water remaining in the level spreader, impoundment infiltrates into the underlying soils. This is again with these engineering firms, they can't see the forest through the trees. This is New England. Very mild year we're having right now. Very easily could be 2-3 feet of frost. When there's frost like that, nothing is going into the soil. That's why it comes down, and that's why it came down into that initial basin so fast and over that spillway the first time. It's frozen tundra and there is zero infiltration. They're talking about getting things ready for absorption and bringing up there's arguments about how much loam you want up there. You can have a foot of loam up there and 3 feet of grass. In the middle of the winter when it's frozen, there's zero absorption. I don't care what you have up there. So this is my problem. So that was already half full. So if we had a and that water, by the way, the picture I had in that level spreader, that's gone. It did. It sucked out. We've not had a hard year. Be it a normal winter, and you had a foot or 2 feet even of frost, it's not going anywhere. It's going to puddle up. thus the chances of freezing, and it could actually plug it up entirely. Not saying it will, it's an unknown until we go down that road. But it appears that, and I'm not aware of anybody saying that they wanted to construct that level spreader different. Has the board, maybe I'm unaware, did the board get any plans or any changes or requests to change it? Because I know in the past when things have been done, you guys really weren't that happy. I don't know the hiring process of all of this. I know that this gentleman here, he's kind of in on it after the fact. He's now running it on the inside. The couple of times that we had spoke, he said he was going to do something and he did it. But he's also not the guy who built it. I don't know if it was purposely, if it's just the incompetence of the people building it or what. But when the water leaves that, I don't want to have a pool out there freezing up. I don't want to have 2 feet of water slowing down any water that would be going down that pipe to help keep me and my neighbors from being flooded again. So I think that that has to be corrected by the contractor. That needs to, when the water comes out of that pipe, it can go across that level spreader over 30, 40 feet, however wide that is. And I get it, so it's like a nice gentle waterfall, but it needs to happen as soon as it gets out there, not later on, and not being delayed by plugging up that pipe with water and slowing down the whole effect. So until that's corrected, I don't think anything should be, we don't need to, go any further with this. I know he's kind of got this thing up and running, I hear it humming, they got it going. But as far as saying, hey, we're gonna sign off or anything, I think they need to be held accountable, whether it's this gentleman's issue or the original Seaboard who he's leasing it from, if it's their problem. But it needs to be done right, because I don't wanna have a problem. This year's not been a bad year. We've had obviously a very mild winter. Heck, I was on a t-shirt today. It's nice for the middle of February. But I'm just trying to nip this off before it's all said and done, and then all of a sudden, nobody's coming back to help me. All my neighbors, 2 houses down with a $30,000 pool getting flooded out. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve. So right now, as much as I like to see this guy get up and running, and I think it already is, we need to get this. We need to get this corrected. That water needs to go over the hill, down into the swamp where it was intended to go, without delay. And, that's what
I think if it did that on a normal basis, okay, the post would not equal pre. Because I do understand the concept of, I don't care if it's called a level spreader or a detention pond or whatever, they collect water and they discharge it slowly, okay? The spillway is there as an emergency thing to take care of excess flow, okay? We're hoping that you're seeing a good system now, a good grass development that will take up a lot of this water that you saw, okay? We're being told that these things have to be done in order for the stormwater management system to work.
This is one thing though, like right now, there were 3 engineering firms. None of them are here tonight. None of them are here tonight. And not one of them, if they were here, is gonna tell you that whether soil, grass, anything, the problem is this time of year. This is when we have an issue. You might as well just have blacktop up there. It's not gonna suck in the water. In my opinion, looking at those plans, it was built incorrectly, and I would ask this board to make sure that it is built correctly. If they want a pond, if that pipe's already in, that's the level it's at. You get a concrete, outfit, they're gonna cut that down to its level. You get an excavator and you can dig a ditch 20 feet deep there. I don't care. So now you're starting to say, let's let it go slow. Well, then dig a deeper pit, but get it so it goes over that waterfall and not in my yard. That's the problem that I see coming around. Because once this is rubber stamped and out the door, where do you think we're gonna be? You think anyone's gonna come by? Really, seriously. Do you think anyone's really gonna listen to anybody at the other end, once this is all up and running and good to go?
Joyce, a couple of things, right? I understand the frustration with this board and with you and Seaboard and everything that's happened over the years, right? And I know development guys, we talk a good game and then we leave. We are not those guys, okay? We are in this for the long term. We're gonna be there operating that system for the long term. So we are gonna be your neighbor. We like to be good neighbors. I understand the frustration of what happened with the water running off, right? That's why the basins were changed. I've had two engineers, 2 professional engineers stamp these plans. The town's review engineer has reviewed them and say, yes, they're gonna be adequate for what we're trying to do. And I know you can think that doesn't mean anything, but That's what we do. We get a professional engineer to do it, and we do it.
What,
And I get that. So the level spreader is designed to take the water, slow it down, spread it out, and then discharge it down the hill. We can't just discharge it down the hill because then we're gonna have erosion, we're gonna have all kinds of problems. And in Massachusetts, you have to match pre and post conditions. You have to match the pre-existing conditions, which there was nothing up there. So we have to slow the water down. So Burton designed the system. I agree that it's modified a couple of times, but we've had Graves review it, and they have signed off on it not only once, but twice in 2 letters. And I had submitted the as-built plans to them saying, this is what we built, and they've signed off on it. So I understand the frustration, and I get that you are never gonna think that we're ever gonna be able to stop the water again because of what happened a year and a half ago. But we're not going anywhere, and it's not gonna happen again. The board still has, they're not signing off tonight. They're signing off on the plan tonight. I have to come back in here and prove that I'm growing grass once the spring starts. I'm not walking away from here. This is and to their point, we tackified down to make sure that there was no erosion. Luckily, we've got a mild winter, and I'm gonna get grass growing out there in the spring, and then the whole system is gonna operate the way it's supposed to. That's what we're talking about. So I understand the frustration. I'm frustrated because I don't, I love you guys, but I don't want to be coming back every 2 or 3 weeks in eternity. But I'm not going anywhere, all right? And they're not going to sign off until I prove to them that that site is stable and there's grass up there, which is going to slow the water getting down into that basin. So just give me till spring. And I know God help us, if there's a couple of storms right on top of each other, I will make sure, we're gonna make sure, if I know that there's storms coming, we've been out there making sure that there's no blockages in the pipe and everything like that. We were out there last week, I walked around to make sure everything was okay. So we're not going anywhere. So to that, and I know you can think that I'm just saying that, but to the point earlier, I've done everything that I said I'm gonna do since I came, and I understand the underlying frustration. I understand Seaboard blowing out and causing water to come down onto your property. They didn't do a good job, and that's why they basically stopped coming. Is because I've taken over and made sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And that's our MO. So that's the best I can tell you right now.
And to your point, and you made a good point, a valid point that, it has to be spread out over a certain, area. So it doesn't just blow down the hill and erode it. Well, my point is, that wall should be lower. It's still gonna be level. It's still gonna happen over, whatever, 40 feet or however long that is, and it's gonna slow down. But it's the chances of that backing up, and as far as all the grass, all the loam, all that's all great maybe in the summertime, but in the winter, it's just like this. It's asphalt, it's concrete. It doesn't absorb. In all of these, and I've mentioned this before, these engineers don't seem to get that. It's funny because
the water still slows down even if it's
there's
grass.
no, but see, no, it is, even like, and I'll bring it back to here, so Graves, I looked at that. It was kind of funny, I was kind of giggling when I read it. So their last line on that second paragraph, GEI was authorized to proceed with this review on February 20th. You know what that means? You know what that really means? They didn't need authorization to look at that plan. That means they got a check. They were paid, period. They were paid to do this.
But they were
That's
they were
it. Wait a minute.
consulted. You're a consultant.
Of course, well, I know,
You're
but
not gonna go up
so
there
let me
without
ask
getting
you,
paid.
when their opinion is not correct, when they're wrong, what's in it for them? Is there any monitor?
They can be
fees
taken
go
to
back?
They can be taken to court, yeah.
They can be
Oh,
taken to
you're
court.
gonna get a lawyer for me? Is
My
the town
engineers
gonna
can be
get a
taken to court. I
lawyer?
could be taken to court.
Is the town gonna get a lawyer and take them to court? That's my idea. That's what I'm saying. Is everybody, it's probably gonna fall right back on me.
Charlie, I'll also
And
say,
I don't
I'll
have to
also
go to
say
take
this,
anybody
right?
to court.
The level spreaders have a design. Our civil engineers presented a design to Graves over the past couple of months and said, this is how we want to outlet this. And Graves said, yes, that's okay. And I know you don't trust civil engineers, but you know what? We have a
They've been
process.
wrong. Everything they've done, they've been wrong.
We have a
This is what
process in this-
They have a
in
pretty
the
bad
state.
track record, I'm just saying.
I
Just, putting it out there.
I mean, Charlie, until that site is, the only leg you have to, is until that site is stabilized, that those basins will not work correctly, and that's not here nor there. Until, that's what they were designed for, that site, that soil to be stable. And he's working as hard as he can.
Oh, no, and I
to make
get it,
happen.
and I understand his argument, I really do.
And-
But at the end of the day, I mean, there's a 2-foot difference in that wall height. That's huge. It's not,
That's what's on the design plans. That's how it was supposed to
I
be
don't know, I'm
built.
reading it differently, but.
I'll show you, it's exactly what
Yeah.
was supposed to be built.
He's not
How many
saying it.
engineers have looked at this? 3?
3.
And they all agree this is gonna work.
Yep.
Yeah.
We still have the $50,000 in
Yeah.
our
Yeah, sure.
account, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So my final question, and you know, I just wanted to put it out there to you guys, because this is something. At the end of the day, when these engineers are wrong, let's hypothetically, because I'm just an idiot, I get it, I'm not that smart. But let's just say they're wrong, what happens to them? Seriously,
I sue them.
is zero.
No.
Don't it? They've already cashed the check, that's why that guy from Graves isn't here tonight, or Burton, or any of them. They've already cashed the check and they're laughing. All right?
The person that you need to look at when something goes wrong is that guy right there. You're not gonna go after the town's engineer, if you can, if you
It's a
want.
third party.
But
I
it's,
mean,
it's him, it's his engineer, it's his whole organization. The town did not build this.
Oh, right.
The state of Massachusetts has drainage, has a, what do they call it?
Stormwater.
Stormwater management.
Calculate.
That's what you go by.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made, yep. Wasn't picked up by the town's review engineer, we get it, they fixed it, but you can only go by those regulations.
Who's
That's
saying
all
the
you can do.
regulations are right?
Yeah.
100-year storms
I'm
come
just
every
saying,
5 years.
It looks different to me in a thing, and like I said, by the time that you have 2 feet of water, that's slowing it down. Water will find its own level, and I know the differences, I get it, there's 4 feet, it will, but it's gonna get there a whole lot slower, and that other basin is gonna pick up a whole lot more, and
Well, you
water
should-
comes my way again.
I'll say one thing, Charlie, that first basin had no water in it. It was below the pipe, okay?
Oh, no, absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely,
Hasn't
zero.
that got to
I'd be
that
more
point?
concerned if the thing had water up to the pipe.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm
And
trying,
all that water
I'm trying to
right
get, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve on
But-
this. This
but
is-
I'm-
this is
I'm
why
telling
I'm
you-
not trying to be
I
a
know.
pain.
No.
Where
Trust me, I
that
don't wanna be
basin is
there.
put in, it has a slope coming off the original site. That thing is gathering a lot of water just from around its area. That whole side of that thing is coming towards it. Because when we did the site visit out there was nothing in the main basin. Then we went to this other one, and it had stains on the rocks that were up in 1.5 feet. So that's kind of typical of the way that basin operates.
Right. And it's gonna fill up and it's gonna slowly.
I'm hoping that once the grass grows there, when we went up there, it didn't have much grass. Okay,
That's
when grass
included,
grows there,
that's
that'll slow
included
down
in the
too.
grass.
That's all
And
just
it'll be
gonna help.
It's all gonna help, as soon as we can get out there, I'm gonna get out there.
Can you answer Charlie's question? And if I'm wrong, Charlie, correct me. I think his feeling is that in the wintertime,
Yeah.
grass isn't gonna do anything. Is that what you're
Still
saying,
absorb
Charlie?
it.
I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm trying to get to what his question is.
Uh,
I'm reading that you think the fact that if we could put grass there, it's still not gonna stop the runoff, that the water's still gonna run. Is that your concern?
Pretty much. I mean, it's not just, I understand it because there is a body to the grass and whatever vegetation might be there, will it slow it down? But the kind of runoff that we've experienced is mind-boggling. It is coming over like Niagara Falls. It is just coming through. So that's gonna, you know, once it gets laid down, and again, it's more the frozen, it's not being able to absorb. None of it, I don't care if it's the original basin, the original, or anything under the solar arrays, or over to this new level spread of that pit you have over there. Once you have a good frost, that's it, zero absorption takes place, so the water gotta go somewhere.
So I will say this, Charlie, in normal calculations, which we went through on the hydrology, these were raised because of some of the concerns of the board, so that there is not a lot of absorption assumed in those numbers. So yes, there is some absorption there, but it's not as much as you think in general over stormwater calculations. The thing about civil engineering and stormwater is it's built in with some levels of uncertainty, so we make it a little bit conservative. The grass, once we have grass, is going to slow the water down. That's the issue. The volume, yes, I get there, but slowing the water down will help because then the basins will be able to accommodate the volume and get rid of it so it's not inundated with everything. And that's the way the whole system is designed. And that's why we need the grass to get growing. There's vegetation out there, but it's not completely stable. There is vegetation out there now. We were out there on Thursday when we were doing our witness testing. There is stuff out there that's slowing the water down versus when it broke out back in January of last year. I think, is that when it was? January of last year, right?
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
So there's more vegetation out there now. There's more stuff out there now that's gonna slow this down, and the basin is gonna work the way it's supposed to once we get the grass growing in the spring. And then on a long-term basis, yes, Norman, to your question, the grass will slow the water down, which is not gonna accommodate getting rid of the volume, but if you think about it, if you inundate something, then it overtops. But if you slow it down, the same volume is gonna get there slower, and the basin's gonna be able to work better.
And that's what all the calculations are based on, right?
Okay, that's about all I can say. Thanks.
All right. Just got a signage issue with the cleanout. That's gonna be added to the plan.
Right.
And, I think we gotta just,
Wait for that, or condition that?
That's coming in the next 2 days. You will have it by Wednesday to Friday. So,
well, the
And
thing is,
what's
this.
our
Friday.
Date?
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
um,
Friday.
Oh, it's Friday.
Action date is by
28th.
Friday.
No, so it's either, gotta do an extension or we condition.
so what I would ask, if just, and I know I'm not in a position to be asking, but I'll ask him, is close the public hearing pending receipt of this plan by the end of the week. You're not, I think all we're doing is closing the public hearing. I still have to come back in April and prove to you that
Yeah,
I'm
so
signing.
we have a temporary seal.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, okay.
yeah, I got you, yeah. Yeah. I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Roger.
Let me ask, just, what would be the problems leaving it open for a public hearing? I mean, it's 2 more weeks, is that gonna screw you up?
Or then he's gotta still.
No.
Well, no, he's got till Friday, he's gotta do an extension.
Oh, I see, got it.
Well, we need an extension.
We don't need an
um,
extension anyways.
Mary, correct me if I'm, that's all we're asking for here is a closure, right? We're not asking for approval, or are we?
Well, we would approve the as-built,
The
okay?
board can approve the as-built tonight,
Condition.
condition upon submission
Okay.
of a revised as-built that shows.
And this is a
the-
clerical thing that we're looking for? It's a paper thing? you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I
It's
thought we
just-
weren't gonna approve anything until the grass is grown.
I
I thought that was the plan.
personally don't think you should close the public hearing
That's my
and
question.
approve the entire project
Right.
until spring and this verification that the site
Okay.
is 70% vegetative cover.
That was the
Is
whole
that what
discussion.
we talked about? Yeah, we talked about how much.
Right, so you don't need to.
What good is, you
That's what I'm saying, what good is closing it, please?
Yeah.
And
If
not
that's,
having-
if that's
do
what
an
we're
extension.
waiting, I'm okay.
Just do an
I'm okay
extension,
leaving the
yeah, an
public
extension,
hearing
just do an
open.
extension.
I'm trying to figure out
I'll-
mechanically what we were trying to do. So if we're
Right.
trying to approve it, get a COC issued, all of that, then I'm fine.
I
with
mean,
that.
not
why
getting the
close the
COC.
public hearing, it's still
Yeah.
not closed,
Uh-oh.
it's not, all we're doing is saying the public can't say anything.
Right.
I will send my motion.
If you close the public hearing, okay,
I'll send.
let me write that down.
I will send it.
So at what point
Takes
do we
care
get
of
the
that.
50,000
Can I have a
back?
second for that?
Can somebody, I rescinded my motion.
He rescinded.
He rescinded it.
Rich, at what point do we get the 50,000? We finally approve it and it's accepted? Is that when we give them the 50,000 back?
Yeah. I guess.
Not necessarily all of it, you might want to
I mean, if
retain-
we said we want to keep part of it through one winter,
Yeah, yeah,
right? If we close the public hearing and give you part of the money back, I guess we'll have that discussion when we close it, but think about that. So we've got a little bit of money in the kitty in case something, now we have a physical a winter where we physically go through it. We have a few dollars, if a few adjustments have to be made, not that we don't trust you, but again, you have to understand what we've gone through.
I do.
Would we give you until the end of April?
Yeah. April 31.
April?
April 30th?
So I
Okay,
guess
what's
we'll-
our second meeting in April?
Second meeting in April is the 27th of April.
That's the next time you gotta show up here, Steve.
Okay.
If you can just sign this thing.
How long will you finish?
And by then, we should see a lot more going on.
Yep. Maybe we'll get a couple snowstorms.
Okay.
What's that?
Maybe we'll get a couple snowstorms.
Entertain a motion to
Continue.
extend the planning board time of action to April 30th, 2020, for 191 Old Webster Road.
I'll make that a motion.
Second.
Second by Greg. Further discussion? There being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, carried unanimously. You can go ahead and submit that plan, okay, and we'll act on it at the next meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
And we'll,
So you will,
We'll
you would,
expect
you
to
would
see-
approve the as-built, is that what you're, or?
yeah, we have no reason not to approve that.
Okay.
So the next meeting of March 9?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and you don't have to
I don't need
come,
to be there, so.
you don't need to be there, you have to be here on the 27th of April.
Okay.
So,
Hopefully you'll be done and asking to have the project totally approved.
okay, so motion to continue the public
Yes.
hearing to 27th?
27th of April, 7:05, whatever you got there.
Yeah, there's nothing on the agenda
Okay.
yet for April.
I'll make that a motion.
27th.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Norman, further discussion? There being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Carried unanimously.
Thank you. See you in a couple months.
Okay,
Yeah.
at 7:10, we have a public hearing. 125 Southbridge Road, application for a special permit, site plan review and approval, applicant Evan Extracts LLC, owner R&B Realty Trust. It's a marijuana product manufacturer. And I'll first read the public hearing notice pursuant to the provisions of Oxford zoning bylaw, chapter 23, marijuana overlay district. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 24th at 7:10 PM in the Oxford Town Hall on an application for a special permit and site plan review submitted by Heaven Extracts LLC to allow the applicant to operate a marijuana product manufacturing business by a state licensed marijuana establishment within a portion of an existing building on property owned by R&B Realty Trust and located at 125 Southbridge Road, North Oxford, Mass. Parcel is shown on Assessors Map 9, Parcel A04, in marijuana overlay district, zoning district, and general business zoning district. Applications can be reviewed. Anyone wishing to be here should be here. And I will, at this time, read in all these memos I have. Since this thing is, let's see, to the planning board dated February 4th, 2020, from the Board of Health, 125 Southbridge Road, marijuana product manufacturing business. Dear planning board members, the Board of Health has reviewed the application for a special permit. The proposed special permit application is for a marijuana product manufacturing business. The Board of Health has no issues with the request at this time. However, they reserve the right to review and comment at a later time. Doesn't help us, but if they got problems, they'll see you directly. From the Oxford Police Department, the Oxford Planning Board. On Friday, the 21st of February, 2020, Lieutenant Marcelonis and I were at an opportunity to meet with Mr. Thomas Dunn and his son Brandon regarding their proposed product manufacturing business, which will be located at 125 Southbridge Road, North Oxford, Mass. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss their overall safety plans. We were able to review their security protocols, which were incorporated into their business plan. Upon reviewing the plan with them, we had no readily apparent concerns or issues which needed to be addressed by the police department at this time. We found that the plan to be adequately thorough and comprehensive. As their plan of operation nears the point of opening, we will meet with them again in order to conduct a site visit and offer any additional information they may need. We found the Dunns to be very forthcoming and open to future discussions if needed. Should the board need any further information, you can contact us sincerely, Chief Anthony Sad. That's and then Mary submitted a memo for us to think about this and the way this will go. Mary wrote, "Please be advised that I read through Article 23 Marijuana Overlay District with respect to the above referenced application on 125 Southbridge Road. In the criteria in order to issue a special permit and site plan approval for the marijuana product manufacturer proposed to be located within an existing building with existing parking at 125 Southbridge Road, North Oxford. Section 1, the location for the proposed marijuana business on 125 Southbridge Road, North Oxford is located within the marijuana overlay district. Subsection 4.4.1.1, the applicant shall submit a security plan to the Oxford Police Department. Well, we just heard about that, that's good. Okay. Subsection 4.4.3, line Q plan, it's not applicable since there's no retail sales. Section 4.4.4, host community agreement, the applicant has entered into a host community agreement with the town as required pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 94G, Section 3, a copy of which is included in the application package. Subsection 4.4.5, the application meets the special permit criteria of Chapter 14, administration and enforcement, and it does comply. Subsection 4.4.6, the application meets the special permit criteria of Section 15, site plan review, and it complies. Subsection 4.5.1, the marijuana business is not located within 500 feet of any building housing the child care center or a school, and that complies. Subsection 4.6, the application meets the decision criteria of Section 4.6 that 1, the business is designed to minimize the adverse effects of the abutters. The business demonstrates that it will meet all pertaining permitting requirements of all applicable agencies within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will comply with all applicable state laws and regulations. The business provides adequate security measures to ensure that no individual participant will pose a direct threat to the health and safety of other individuals, and the applicant has adequately addressed issues of vehicular and pedestrian traffic circulation, parking, and queuing, especially during peak hours, but it essentially mitigates the impacts, and they all comply with that. Conditions of approval, subsection 5.2, marijuana plants, products, paraphernalia shall not be visible from the outside of the building in which the marijuana business is located. No outside storage is permitted, and that complies. 4.5.3, all operations of the marijuana business must take place within the fully enclosed building, and that complies. 4.5.4, no odor from the marijuana business may be noxious or cause a nuisance, a danger to public health, and impair public comfort and convenience. Marijuana businesses shall incorporate odor control technology and provisions and ensure that emissions do not violate Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 31C, including but not limited to those of specified for odors. And it complies, and the applicant indicates that it will use a positive airflow over activated carbon filtration to filter and scrub the outgoing air of the facility for zero odor pollution. 4.5.5, All business signage shall be subject to the requirements of the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission. 4.5.6, no marijuana license, a retailer shall be managed by a person other than the licensee or his designee. Such licensee or designee shall be on the premises during regular hours of operation and responsible for all activities within the licensed business, and shall provide emergency contact information to the Oxford Police Department to have on file. And you're not a retailer, so it's not applicable. Next one's not applicable either, so I won't go into that. 4.5.10, no smoking, burning, or consumption of any product containing marijuana or marijuana-related products shall be permitted on the premises of the marijuana business, except as expressly provided by the law with respect to the operation of a RMD. And you comply with that. And the decision criteria are 4.6, the planning board shall not grant a special permit for their marijuana business unless it finds that. This is the stuff we're gonna talk about tonight. Okay? The marijuana business is designated to minimize the adverse effects to abutters and parties of interest. 4.6.2, the marijuana business demonstrates that it will meet the permitting requirements of all applicable agencies of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will comply to all applicable state laws and regulations, and to date the applicant has submitted its application to the CCC. Once final license is approved by the CCC, the applicant shall submit a copy to the planning board. 4.6.3, the marijuana business provides adequate security. That complies. 4.6.4, the applicant has adequately addressed issues of vehicular and pedestrian traffic circulation, parking and such. As it is not a marijuana retailer, traffic and parking is not a significant concern. However, they do have plenty of parking. They have a surplus of parking. 4.6.5, the applicant has satisfied all the conditions and requirements set forth herein. Complies with all conditions and requirements except for the final license from the CCC. And for subsection 4.7, transfer or discontinuance of use, a special permit is granted is non-transferable. And the business shall remove all material, plants, equipment, and other things once they vacate the premises. And that's what we got from Mary. Very concise, thorough. Good evening.
Good evening.
I think you guys presented a great plan to the town. You documented everything. That's why everyone seems to be very happy. No issues with the plans. Does
Rich,
anyone on
where,
this
can I
board-
just ask a question?
Yeah.
Where is this gonna be now?
You remember where Circuit Barn used to be?
No, he said that to me. Oh, I don't remember.
We're on 125 Southbridge Road.
North Oxford.
That's
That's Route 20.
Last Route 20.
on Route 20. So where on Route 20? I know it's left on 56 heading toward Charlton.
It's on the right
It's
hand
on the right-hand side.
Crocker Manufacturing,
Used to be a
Have you
trailer.
seen there used to be like a boat storage?
Boat
or
trailer.
like a-
it's
like a
before
boat
the
trailer,
industrial
a
park
camper
on the
top.
right.
Right next
Yeah.
to where
Yeah.
Manhattan used to be?
Yeah.
No, beyond that.
Beyond,
It's
beyond that. It used to be like camper top, like things we put on back of a
Yeah, I
camper
thought
top.
that was
used
right
to-
next to
beyond
Manhattan.
In the
Next-
time, the
next
guys
one
sold cars there. I think
Yeah.
they sold
And
cars
it has like an
there.
old, across the street, there's like a greenhouse that's
Quonset.
all falling apart, where they had the boat trailer storage. It's right
This is a
across the
fairly
street
new
now.
building, right?
Within, maybe
Yeah.
10 years. I think.
Yeah, about 10
It's
years.
kind of,
After.
You know what Boulder Park is?
Yeah.
It's the building just before Boulder Park up on the hill.
Oh, okay.
it's kind of off in the trees, you don't really see it. It's not very visible from the street.
It's a fairly new building. Could we do this, Mary? We have a plan of that,
We have a plan of what?
that building.
We do.
So we can just put it on file. I think Craig and, we know about it because we were here. Craig and Roger weren't. I don't know if they wanted to just look at the plan. It meets all the criteria. I think it had, what, 8 parking spaces? It was so long ago.
More than that.
It might have more than that.
Yeah, I just don't remember seeing a plan
Okay.
of where it was
Yeah.
gonna be.
Okay.
Make sure I get it back.
Yeah, I just have, so I know,
It was a building.
do they have any, like, when it was medicinal, they had special rights as far as going into recreational, they had first dibs on being able to do.
They're not
I
asking
know,
for
I know, I know
anything
they're not, but is there any?
retail.
But I know, does retail have, special dibs also with like, in other words, if they said, okay, a year from now, we'd like to start selling products to the public, even, because they're already in the right area for
So
it.
I do
It's a
not.
whole different permit
Oh,
process.
it's a permit,
It's a whole different thing.
permit process with CCC.
Right.
If they want some other type of licensure from CCC,
Right.
they have to apply to
Yeah,
the
they
CCC.
can't
And
instantly
you're
change
you're in the
it.
right, you're zoned in the right area anyways, because we're only allowed one more.
Right, we will only allow one more retail
Retail,
of adult
right.
use.
So I didn't know if they had, if they get first dibs on that, something like that too, or not.
You can
Not-
go back and forth.
No.
Not in the capacity of what they're
No.
filing for
Right,
right
right.
now.
Circuit Barn
No,
engineer.
no, you guys the sole occupant in there now?
2,000 square feet on this end. And then Ron Donahue with his, he's got an HVAC contract.
On the back
Business
side.
next to it. But it's kind of up the hill in the woods.
So you're gonna share the building.
Yeah, we'll show you.
Yeah.
With the.
So how much parking does he use?
Well, the engineers took into account everybody in the building, and they came to the conclusion that not only do we have enough parking for what's required on the special permit, but we have 13 extra spaces. So we have room to, even if we hire more employees.
And it's just it's a family run thing, it's you this
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we actually work there, so we're not like, and then as we need more help, we can hire more people.
Okay.
But we have plenty of room for parking. It doesn't support, if you're concerned in the future of making
Yeah.
a retail facility, it doesn't support a retail facility because traffic going on the Southbridge Road, it wouldn't allow a retail facility there.
No.
You can only turn right there, it's not safe to turn left.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
it's
just,
specific-
because we were kind of blindsided when it was when the medicinal got first dibs on where they could apply right away for recreational adult use. I didn't know if that was applicable.
Yeah, but
Even
it's
though you
just-
guys are now in the zone in the right area for it.
Yeah, so we couldn't convert it to a retail facility in the future, it doesn't support the traffic in and out.
Okay.
So your parking calculation, I know, I don't wanna be a dead horse, but your parking calculation, you said your engineers, was
Yeah.
that part of your
Quinn
submittal?
Engineering used the formula from the code that
So you
requires.
saw that?
Yes,
And it's actually on that, the
Should be on the
parking
plan.
It's on the
decisions,
plan.
county
Yeah,
use
I
it.
thought-
It's already back.
okay, yeah.
He told me to get it back, so I don't.
Yeah.
There should be a parking
No,
table
No, it's
right
on
on
there.
that
It is
plan.
on there, yeah.
Yeah, and this is an as-built blueprint.
Yeah, I just
And
wanted to-
so,
Yeah.
Ron also owns the building, and Army Realty also owns the building directly behind us. And so,
I saw one of them had it on there.
Yeah, I see it, you can see the, right here.
yeah, there's a parking table at the top.
Yeah.
No, I just,
Is that the
So-
updated
I
one?
don't see it on, this
This
isn't the
was-
updated plan.
I think this was submitted on
This is the submission plan.
There's an updated plan. as
There,
well.
I did see it. I saw a table, but I don't know where.
This
That
was
may be-
submitted, the meeting I missed, I think was submitted on the
Yeah, I remember
27th.
seeing it.
And I think, Mr. Dunn, that meeting night brought in a revised plan that had a parking table on it.
I remember seeing that, but I haven't seen it revised.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a revised copy for them.
Here it is. Gary, you just don't have
need
one
that
in
back,
your folder for some reason.
More than a minute.
Let Roger look at it.
Yeah, you know, the first copy we got, we didn't have a copy.
They didn't have
Okay,
the,
got it.
I asked about that. I think that's why you guys were privy to it.
That's an old one.
That's all right. That's the only one I have.
Yeah.
It came in our packet. That's the one.
That's okay, I just need the building, I don't care about. 'Cause I haven't seen it.
You know, how many, that's based on how many employees and square footage you have for your products and.
Yeah, see, we're only in 2,000 square feet to start, so if we
Yeah,
expand,
yeah.
we wanna make sure we had room to expand a little,
Yeah.
more employees.
Yeah. No, we have a real hiccup with our parking for marijuana retail establishments.
Well, the traffic can do.
Well, that.
The whole state did
you know,
initially.
Yeah.
Again,
It's going away slowly.
again, you never
You
know,
get more of
you
these.
never know what, could happen up there, something, if they put another access road in there or not, or whatever, but, I just know that we got kind of blindsided when it was the medicinal got first dibs on recreational, they automatically got a chance to go right where they were. Again, they don't have enough parking there.
Yeah,
Is 9 Sterling Way the building in back?
I'm not sure actually.
Yes,
Cement?
Yes,
yes.
Cement?
yes.
So-
Sterling Way comes
Sterling.
off of
The cement.
Right, there's a
56.
building in back.
Yes, Sterling Way comes off of
Sterling.
56.
56.
Yeah, that's where the cement.
So originally, Craig,
Oh, okay, I see it.
that was gonna be 125B Southbridge Road,
Okay.
but because it got its access from Sterling Way, it's now.
All right, so the parking
That's
table
what
talks about
Silver on that
18
one.
existing spaces. And you're gonna need 10.
We only need.
I know, but
4 or
by
5.
the bylaws, you're gonna need 10.
Oh, no, we were only calling for maybe 5.
Five
or-
employees.
5 or 6. We were calling for 4 employees with 6 parking spots.
4 employees equals 3 parking spaces.
Yeah.
I don't know.
1 company vehicle, 1 stop. 4 parking spaces required. Now, that's for your part of the building, and you're only using how much of it?
2,000 square feet.
Okay, and none of this talks about the other company that's using the other part of the building.
As warehouse, some of it's warehouse, and so it doesn't have, it doesn't need parking. They took that into account.
Okay, because I don't see anything written on that
You
here.
don't have any employees?
The place at the end, they took into account the different uses. Ron Don, you know Ron Donahue from R&B Realty? He has the HVAC business, and so they have mobile trucks that go out to businesses around the towns with all the gear in their trucks. And so their trucks are gone during the day. And then at the end is a book repackaging company. They distribute books to libraries. And they have plenty of parking at the back. There's way more parking than they need, so.
So when you talk about the plenty of parking, that's the 18 spaces you're talking about?
Well, Quinn Engineering, they're the ones required to do an as-built, and so after surveying the building, they took into account the bylaws, and they did formulations according to your bylaws. And they came to the conclusion that not only do we have enough parking, but we have 13 extra spaces that aren't even required.
Based on
We're talking
2,000
about
square
the
feet.
whole building, not just.
Yeah, including the whole building, including the whole building, the whole building, and everybody has 13 extra spaces, and more than is required by the bylaws.
Right.
And so parking was not an option.
Okay, so I'm looking at your plan, and if I count the parking spaces around number 125 South Street, it's 18 spaces. Now,
It's
there are
including-
3 businesses you just talked about gonna be in this big building.
Mhm.
You need 10 spaces
No,
according to your cap.
We need 5 or 6 is all.
Yeah, we don't have that many employees and we don't have enough
And
space.
they're only basing on 2,000 square
They
feet.
might have done the whole building.
But, yeah, they might have done, but,
I don't even know, because it doesn't say.
Yeah, I know.
but they're basing their calculation on what you need for a 2,000 square foot
So
Retail.
how many,
commercial.
I know, how many vans does this HVAC company have?
2.
Oh. So, all right, it just seems kind of,
They
Try
should
to
have been,
follow-
they should have been specific on how they did
Yeah,
it to our
who's
I mean,
got,
it doesn't
who's
say that
taking
there's,
up what
it doesn't
spaces?
show on the plan that there's 3 different businesses in there, or what you're using, does it?
Who's taking up what space?
One business requires 10 spaces.
Yeah, but that one is, that's 9 Sterling Way, which is in back.
Yeah, and those are available to the employees of the people that run the book place, they park over there, it's more convenient for them, so they park in the back. Because Ron
Yeah,
owns
you-
both the buildings.
But I think from a planning purpose, you
Yeah,
can't really do
so
that.
who's using?
You can't go, oh, my neighbor's gonna let us park in his
Oh, no,
spot.
they're both buildings are connected, the owner owns both buildings, and he operates out of both
I
buildings.
see.
The one in the back is just warehouse space with no employees.
Yeah, but
That's this
I
one.
think what Craig's trying to point out is each building has its own designated
Yes,
parking.
it should show,
Right.
yeah, I
It
see,
should
I
show
see your point,
sufficient
Shannon, it should
parking
show.
for all of the businesses that are within that building, not,
And
oh,
you've got
he's
3, yeah.
parking at the next
Well,
building.
even if you didn't take into account the extra parking spaces at the back, there's plenty of spaces for the existing businesses and employees in the front building. The parking, it wasn't an issue, and so he didn't raise any concerns.
Who is he?
I think it's
Kevin Quinn,
listed
Quinn
here, it's
Engineering.
just not.
Your engineer.
They didn't
No.
break it out. into
They didn't
each.
break it, which is, I see your point, yeah, this is.
I'm just trying
Okay,
to.
this guy's using this much, he's designated 5 parking spaces, this guy's using 6,000 square feet, he's designated 10.
Is that what the bylaw requires?
You'd have to read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
the bylaw requires 1 per employee plus 1 per company vehicle.
For,
Okay, I don't know why 9 Sterling Way is on here.
yeah, so if you did the math, we had,
The
say we had 3
125
employees.
has 18 existing spaces, requires 1 per 1.5 employees plus 1 per company vehicle. So they have 4 employees.
Three to start.
Okay.
So that's
The
2 parking
plan
spaces.
says 4, so let's go with 4.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had enough.
So they need 4 parking spaces, right?
Yeah,
and it's a show on the plan, which
And
is
then-
nice.
So they need
So I think
Four.
it is broken down there.
plus 6,
So I think this is the
yep,
4 parking spaces.
4 bit,
And
yep,
then the other business,
and 6 spaces.
right.
So 10.
yeah,
And then you got the book.
It says there are
9.
18 existing spaces,
But you still
so
got
that means
8
there
to
are
go.
8.
well.
How many people work at the
I'm-
book company?
I'm guessing that the other
I
ones
think
are
it's
actually
maybe
not
3.
9 Sterling.
I mean, there's very hard, there's
Yeah.
hardly
So
anybody
let's say
there.
they need
Give them
4.
5.
Yeah, they have hardly
4
anybody
up
there.
to 14.
Yeah,
And
since
in
they got
my-
4 left.
It's just
Mine.
not clear.
9 Sterling Way should not be computed in these parking calculations. So if you just compute 125 Southbridge Road, that has 18 spaces, according to this plan, 4 spaces are required for, it doesn't specify which business.
That's what it should say.
The office space requires 6 parking spaces, so we've got
10.
So it looks like they're
10,
using 10 out of the
10
18.
required, so,
You've got
and there are
18.
18, so there's still 8 left over. 4,
So you just included all 3 companies in your calculation?
2.
No, just the one.
9 Sterling Way is
There are
another
3
in the back.
companies in that building.
There will be. Right now, there's 2. He's gonna be the 3rd.
No, I get that, but there are gonna be 3, so I'm trying to come up with the numbers that take into account all 3 companies.
Yeah, and we planned it, if we expand, let's suppose we expand into the warehouse next to it,
Yeah.
we get their parking spaces as we expand, so even if we needed to expand, we take on more parking spaces as we occupy more of the building. And so we had it covered either way.
So the warehouse has additional parking spaces
Mhm.
in addition to the 18.
Yeah, so there's room for expansion because we get their parking spaces as we expand also.
And Ron doesn't have any employees, it's just him and his son, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they have-
well, they have the vans that go out, you know, so.
1 per company truck, which is 2, and that he needs
I
3.
still think it's based on size.
Not for warehouse.
not for industrial, it's based on apparently number of employees plus 1 per company vehicle.
Yeah, it's.
So they
open.
broke it down per use, but you could break it down for
Well, it looks like they don't have the book company,
the what?
the book.
The book company.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of like,
They're
it's
gonna
kind of
have
like, that-
them.
it's kind of like a warehouse,
I know, but there's people that
Doesn't
work.
matter.
just come and go.
There's parking places associated with the building.
Yeah, it's-
I guess, so you got all these surplus parking places, but they're down at 9 Sterling Way.
Well, there's,
I mean, if you think about it.
there's surplus places even at 125 South.
At the
There's
warehouse, at the
surplus.
warehouse.
I guess what we're saying is, you got 18 spaces, you need 4, Ron Donahue needed what?
6?
6, that's 10. The book company needs less than 8,
Well, they only need,
4. You said they might have 3?
Yeah, they have an
So that's 4, so they're at
Four
14.
instead.
Yeah, so
For
there's
all, for
still.
all 3, Craig. So there's still 4 left.
Yeah.
And if he goes to expand, there's another building in the back, which is a warehouse, which has additional parking, right?
Right. Yeah, so we're covered either
See,
way.
all that?
We.
Oh, it's a
we're
good
in-
question.
We're in compliance with the
It should-
bylaws. even if
I
we-
see what you're saying, it should show on the plan
Yeah.
who's using what.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even say that there's 3
I know.
businesses in the
I know.
building.
No, and you know what, that's one of the things that we do when they redo these buildings and stuff. You might have one big business, and they move out, and you get 3 small businesses going. That's how we take a look at it, you know. I just like to make sure this gets on the file as part of their thing, and so if someone
Well,
comes
yeah,
in and wants
it's
to
gonna be
rent
in
more,
there.
Yeah.
and they need more than 4 parking spaces, then there's gonna be an issue.
Right, because each business, each business's parking needs to be taken into consideration and added to that parking table to make sure there's adequate parking.
Oh, don't worry, if we expand, we'll be back in front of you. You know, we're in compliance
Well, we
now.
want
If
you
we
to
do
expand.
expand, we'll come back.
We're not, against that, it's just
Yeah.
the way the process is, right? You just wanna make sure there's enough parking for all three
Yeah, that's all.
businesses.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It was a good question.
Anything else?
Yes. You think I'm standing up here because of equipment?
No, no, the board gets first dibs, I'm sorry.
Where'd you
In
come
our
from?
world.
Where'd you come from?
Okay, Captain Sellis, fire department, what's up?
It's a warehouse. Are you making alterations to the inside of the building?
Minor, just moving the walls around.
It's not minor.
Drywall.
So are you going from floor to ceiling?
No, we're gonna do a drop ceiling, so we're only going up enough to make, like office.
So you're gonna have a 2 to 3 foot gap from the drop ceiling to the ceiling?
Yes, well, I don't know the exact measurement,
Yeah,
but yes,
but-
with the drop
So
ceiling.
there's gonna be a void space up there?
Correct.
Okay, all right. At some point in time, we're gonna have to sit down to discuss your fire protection and your notification. We haven't done that yet. You're in your first initial stages, which is fine. But we're gonna need to, I'm gonna need to see a set of plans and sit down and talk with you guys in regards to that and the whole, your process. and
And so we
whatnot.
had some questions for you as well, some of the exits.
Excellent.
And, you know, we wanted your input on some of the exits and a
Yep.
couple of the, you know.
Yep.
Exactly, and we actually, there's a separate fire alarm company that comes in and brings that to code.
Okay,
You have the security company and then the fire alarm company.
Yep.
And the electrician are three different people that make sure that that's within code.
okay,
And
all right, so yeah, at some point in time, reach out to me so that we can touch
Yeah,
base and.
You know, we look forward to your input, and you
Okay.
probably heard that we're working with CO2, which is,
I did not hear that.
yeah, we're only working with a CO2 extraction, so it's actually a fire suppression itself.
Oh, it is, that's true.
They wouldn't approve it if we tried to come in with butane or, you know, those kinds of solvents.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's
When
good
we
to know.
approve this, the mini site plan approval, we approve it with the understanding or the requirement that you satisfy each department. So this is nothing,
Oh, absolutely.
he's giving you a heads up, because
Yeah,
you
no,
had to
no.
do this anyway.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to meeting him and getting his input. And we'll do that in the building,
Yeah.
in the building permit phase.
Mhm.
You can sit down and tell us what you want, and we
Yeah.
can work together to make sure we're within.
Yeah, I'll certainly, I'll come up with you at the site if you want, and we can walk through and.
Yeah,
and
that
talk.
would be great.
Yeah, all right.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay,
Get a message over for you.
is anyone in the public interested in speaking of this particular business? No? Okay. Entertain a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing.
make that a motion.
Second.
Okay, round your second, further discussion? There being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Carried unanimously.
Make a motion, we
Thanks.
accept this plan,
Special permit, site plan
the
number
site plan review and approval, stormwater management, no, not that. Site plan review and approval for, I got it right here.
Special permit.
Special
site
permit,
plan
yeah.
review.
Approval for applicant of Haven Extracts LLC, owner is R&D Realty. And then, what's the date on the plan?
Oh, yeah, let me give you that plan again, make sure we got the
Gotta
right.
get the right date. Conditioner on approval of all departments, condition on all departments
Roger, you
being
got it.
approved, yeah. Date
Let's make
January,
sure there
yeah,
isn't
get
a
the right
revision.
one.
I don't know, I don't see any yet, is it? Oh, yeah. Add 1/23/2020.
Dated 1/23/2020. Again, on the condition that it gets approval of all departments.
Second.
Motion's been seconded, further discussion? There being none, all those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Carried unanimously.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great, thank you. Mary, thank you for your input as well.
You're welcome.
I'll see you soon, thanks again. Have a good night.
Good luck.
Hey. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a, we got a public hearing for 8 Town Forest Road. Let's read the public hearing notice. Pursuant to the provisions of Oxford zoning bylaw, Chapter 6, uses in the industrial district, Chapter 16, administration and enforcement, Chapter 15, site plan review, in the Oxford general bylaw, Chapters 66 and 67, land disturbance and stormwater management. The planning board will hold a public hearing on Monday, February 24th, 2020 at 7:15 PM in the town hall for applications for a special permit, site plan review and approval, stormwater management, land disturbance submitted by Revolve Limited to allow for the construction of an approximately 12,000 square foot commercial building with associated site work, drainage for automobile service and sales, dismantling and parts sales on property located by Wheeled Holdings located at 8 Forest Road, as shown on assessment map 56, parcel C10 in the industrial zoning district. Applications can be reviewed in the town hall. Anyone wishing to be here should be here, and I'll, again, like I did on the last one, we've got some information.
Listen for the fire. We just
And, dated February 4th, 2020, from the Board of Health for the 8 Forest Road automobile sales, service, and dismantling and parts sales. Dear planning board members, the Board of Health has reviewed the application for a special permit prepared by Revolve Limited, Oxford, Massachusetts. The proposed special permit application is for an automobile sales, service, dismantling, and parts sales. The Board of Health has no issues with the request at this time. However, they reserve the right to review and comment at a later time. Dated February 24th, 2020, we have a review from Graves Engineering. Okay, dated, dear planning board members, we received the following documents on February 11th, 2020, correspondence from Point Engineering to the Oxford Planning Board dated January 17th, 2020. Plans entitled Proposed Site Plan in Massachusetts, number 8, Town Forest Road, dated January 17th, 2020, prepared by Point Engineering for Revolve Limited. And a bound document entitled Stormwater Report number 8, Town Forest Road, Oxford, Massachusetts, dated January 17th, 2020, prepared by Point Engineering. Graves has been requested to review and comment on the plans and supporting documents conformance with Oxford zoning bylaw, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, Stormwater Handbook, Town of Oxford, Chapter 66, Section 7, Stormwater Management, Land Disturbance, Town of Oxford, Chapter 67, Section 7, Stormwater Management Plan, and Chapter 8, Operation and Maintenance Plan and Standard Engineering Practices. As part of the review, Graves performed a reconnaissance site visit on February 21st, 2020. For the zoning bylaw, the Graves has no issues relative to the compliance to the Oxford zoning bylaw requirements. For the stormwater management, land disturbance, Chapter 66, the plans need to contain the telephone number of the owner, subsection 7.03.1. Stormwater management, Town of Oxford, Chapter 67. Graves has no issues relative to the compliance with Town of Oxford, Chapter 67 requirements, except as noted in comment number 8, subsection 3.01, potential adverse impact. hydrology computations and Mass DEP stormwater management. Graves reviewed the hydrology computations and found them to be in order. However, please see comment number 8 relative to the evaluation of peak runoff rates to the property that separates number 8 and number 12, Town Forest Road. 5, subcatchment 11S was labeled as 1S on the post-development catchment plan. If the post-development catchment plan is revised for any reason, then the subcatchment label should be corrected. 2 subcatchments were labeled as 15S and a subcatchment 19S was not shown on the post-development catchment plan. Nonetheless, Graves was able to review the modeling of these subcatchments. If the post-development catchment plan is revised for any reason, then the catchment labels should be corrected. Graves has no issues relative to the compliance with the Mass DEP stormwater standards, except as noted in the following comments. Number 8, we are concerned whether there is an increase in runoff rates at the property line that separates number 8 and number 12, Town Forest Road. Stormwater documents evaluated the total post-development pond 1P and pre-development pond 1P and post-development pond 11P runoff rates that consist of runoff from the property line that separates number 8 and number 12, Town Forest Road, and runoff on the swale that runs along Town Forest Road. An analysis needs to be done to evaluate runoff that crosses the property line that separates number 8 and number 12, Town Forest Road. Do so in the pre-development conditions. A new node needs to be created in the hydrology computations to combine runoff from a new node to reach 1R and a subcatchment 3S. And in a post-development conditions, a new node needs to combine the runoff from reach 10R, subcatchment 23S, and the outlet of the pond 10P. 9, riprap needs to be provided at the discharge ends of the culverts proposed in the swale that runs along Town Forest roads. Under general engineering comments, Graves had no issues. Under general comments, a construction detail for the proposed chain link fence and gate should be included in the plans. 12, a construction detail for the proposed timber guard rail should be included in the plans. 13, a title of sheet 5 is listed as property, I guess it's property. Proposed erosion control plan. This sheet should be labeled details and notes. In the drain schedule on sheet 2, the pipe material for CB2 is listed as AWWA. This appears to be a typographical error in that ADS may have been intended. If so, the drain schedule should be corrected. Number 15, Graves understands that the Board of Health will review the proposed well and septic system. And number 16, in addition to local requirements, if any, Graves understands that the floor drain system holding tank must also comply with 314 CMR 18.00 industrial wastewater holding tanks and containers, and must meet the compliance certification requirement administered by Mass DEP. Graves has not reviewed the floor drain system for compliance with local requirements or that statute. We trust that this letter addresses your review requirements. Feel free to contact them. I take it you probably didn't even see this today. It was just issued today, or did you have it?
Did see it.
Okay, you did see it.
Good evening. Carl Holtzman, Quinn Engineering. This is Nick Gregory Bernstein. Thank you for reading that. So the property we're looking at tonight is 8 Town Forest Road. It's located in the industrial district. It's about 6.48 acres. It's about 404 feet frontage on Town Forest Road. To get you oriented, some of you may be familiar with the property as we did a site plan not too long ago for this for a different use, but that didn't happen, so here today, this is Town Forest Road. The green, the blue, and the colored area is our property. The Central Mass Auto Auction is this parking lot up here. We had a plan like 2 years ago for that, if you remember that. So this is a different use. So the owner is Real Holdings, Inc., the applicant's Revolve Limited. Both of those are basically Nick. He owns a business at number 11 Town Forest Road, it's Revolve, Inc. That they do auto service, auto sales, and part sales. And so if you're, this is number 8, go down the road, and it's right here. So it's an existing building, that's what they're doing now. They want to move to this property, build a building so they have more space to operate and grow their business. So we have an application before the board tonight, 4 applications actually: a special permit for the proposed use in the industrial district, site plan approval, a land disturbance permit, and a stormwater permit application. So we've got 2 proposed access to the site here and here. This is our building. It's under 12,000 square feet. We've got 5 bays for service proposed here, and then 3 bays for dismantling here, so a total of 8 bays. There's going to be interior warehouse space. There's an exterior storage area back here, and that's used for part storage once they're clean and they're degreased and everything like that, and they're safe to store outside. It's basically just like putting spare parts outside, so he doesn't have to house them inside. There are 2 loading docks on the back of the building here. Drivable access around the building, so the white area that you see here is pavement. Like that. There are 41 parking spaces required for the uses inside. So we've got the service, the sales, and the warehouse uses. There are 45 parking spaces proposed, so we need 41. We have 45 proposed. 2 of those are van accessible parking spaces that you see here. Right, the main entrance to the building is right there. Floor drains are inside the building, as referenced in the Graves review. Those go to a holding tank outside, so there's floor drains that go through a separator and then go to the holding tank, and this holding tank gets pumped every so often once it's filled up, because you can't discharge that to the stormwater system. There are landscaping beds in the front of the building here, here, and here, and then we've got some landscaping proposed along Town Forest Road as well. Wastewater from the building discharges to a leaching area here. Stormwater goes into our basin here, and as you mentioned, Graves reviewed the system. For stormwater, there's 2 comments, and we feel we can address those pretty easily. A lot of the other comments are minor stuff, I think, too. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Is there anything on the property now?
No, it's just a wooded lot.
Just a wooded lot, okay.
And this lot's gonna be fenced in.
So there's a fence. There's a fence across the driveway here. And there's a fence from the building up the slope here. So vehicle access is limited by the fence, but physically you could walk through the parking lot to get to the back of the building if you wanted to.
The storage area.
Yeah,
And
how
the
do you
storage-
access, yeah.
The storage area is fenced as well.
Correct.
Yeah, so how do you access, and are you physically carrying this stuff out? How do you access the storage if your fence?
Yeah, so the storage area should have a gate in the fence, but basically the idea is to obscure view, so it's
Yeah.
not a nuisance, it's
Right,
not something you have to
right.
look at.
That's what I was.
Yeah, basically, so the sort of process for dismantling is, a car comes in, usually on a tow truck or something like that. It goes in the building, all the fluids are drained, usually the engine comes out, anything that can leak. All the fluids are captured and either recycled or disposed of properly. We have Safety Clean come and haul that stuff. Once all the fluids are out and they're effectively safe, they're not dangerous to the environment, the car, it would appear complete, but it would, like I said, be lacking fluids, could go out in the storage area for a short time until, you know, the body panels or the seats or something like that are sold, at which point the car would be crushed. not on site. It would be picked up by a recycler to be crushed, basically, as just scrap steel.
Is that storage facility paved?
No, it's gravel.
So that's why we depollute, we remove all the fluids before anything goes out there.
Yeah, so it's basically just putting metal out on gravel.
Right.
So the cars that come to your facility are junk cars?
Not all of them, but that is a part of our business. So we
Yeah.
also do regular service, you know, if you want
Okay.
your oil changed. We only do Volvos though, we specialize in those. So if you have another brand of car, we unfortunately don't work on them. But basically, it's similar to the dealership without the price and closer to home and all that sort of stuff, so.
You have no issues at your current location?
No,
No
we
oil
have-
spills?
Not a one.
And basically just doing this, just move across the street
Same
to a
thing.
bigger.
What are you gonna do with the other, are you gonna keep your other building, are you gonna sell it, or?
No, I think we'll hang on to it. We'll find somebody that needs a small industrial building and then they can come see you for a special permit.
They did come before tech review, and there were really
Correct, we did.
no issues.
I mean, it fits the use, it's literally moving across the
And
street.
the fire department, you can speak to that, Ken, but they have access around it, police have
Yeah.
no issue.
Yeah, we've met with them, they're all good, they've done everything we've asked, and we've gotten the clarification for the questions that we needed, and
And that's all in the industrial park, there's nothing, there's no neighbors or anything like that, that's street.
Okay, so I take it that you've got some more work to do on your plans.
Yeah, so we have comments from Graves. We're planning to get a revised plan either tomorrow or Wednesday, because the rigs are fairly.
Okay.
Couple things real quick. So you guys have 5 members here tonight. We need a supermajority for the special permit.
Which is 5,
Okay.
supermajority.
So
Yeah,
everybody's going to say yes.
Mhm.
No, that's what it is.
That's what you should be anticipating.
Yeah, okay. That's right. I just want to clarify that.
Good way to put it, Rich.
Feel things out.
Nice better.
And then, I'm assuming you guys aren't going to close the meeting without a clean letter from Graves, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So we're gonna continue your
Yeah.
public hearing till our next meeting.
Okay.
And hopefully you can get the revised plan to Graves so that they can go through it again
Yep.
and take care of all those doubts that are in his mind.
Very good.
Put those nodes in there.
We're going to put 2 new nodes in.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Anyone from the public want to speak? You gotta come up to the mic,
Sure.
state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Keith Doyle. I own a property across the street, number 9 Town Forest Road, next to Nick. He does run a nice clean operation. He even rents a space for me for a short period of time, so
Okay.
I've got no issues with that. Stormwater and the release of stormwater is my only concern. I just wanna know where it's going. I couldn't see the plans, I don't know where the retention is, et cetera, et cetera.
So you're across the street, you're Keith Doyle, this is your property here.
You're right,
And then, so Nick is proposing, this is the big wooded area here.
yeah,
He's got, the brown is the building.
yeah,
The white area here is his parking area and the
Yep.
driveway. He's got a gravel area in the back, so he's
Mhm.
got a system of catch basins that go, they collect the stormwater. He's got, right on the plan, there's catch basin there, one there,
We got a boatload of
one
them.
there. There's plenty of them.
Not you.
And so what those do is those capture the water,
uh-huh.
they pipe it into this sort of lighter area here, that's the stormwater basin.
So Nick's Circle across the street from that.
So Nick's building is like right over here. And so this basin discharges in this direction.
Okay,
And then with the Graves comments from today, I think there's gonna be another outlet that discharges, the swale that runs along Town Forest
I'm
Road.
very familiar with it.
Yep, there's gonna be an outlet that discharges into that as well, but in general, all the water is gonna end up in that swale eventually anyways.
Yep, my only contention over the years, and I've been there 25 years, and I did ask the town on a couple of occasions, that swale collects water. The makeup of this property here is basically hot pan. The water comes off of there, it goes into the swale, and it goes underneath the road, which ends up on my property. at certain times of the year, especially this time of the year with thaw. If I got additional waters being put onto my property, I think it's something I should be very concerned about.
Yeah, no,
I should be very concerned about that.
yeah, you're downhill.
So if it's,
Well,
you know,
It's down-
He's actually not, well,
What's
he,
what's the topography?
he is downhill, but
Um,
not in the sense of where that stormwater that we're discharging
Yeah,
would
right,
be
you're
going.
going-
So
you're going-
this
No,
like
but
slopes,
you're talking-
if it.
you're
if
talking
rains here-
stormwater being discharged here.
And they're running down the
If it's
road.
coming over here,
It's
going
gone.
to the pallet shop,
Gone,
Yeah.
going to a wet, this is a wet area.
Oh, yeah.
anyways.
Yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
that's a wetland in here,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay? Over here is still my property. I have a large overhead door right here.
Oh, across
your,
the street.
your property is right here.
I know,
Across the
I know.
street, yeah.
So you talk about putting a discharge here.
Yeah, so the water, if the discharge goes into here, it's gonna go into that swale and flow this
Well,
way.
You don't understand I know where the water's gonna go,
Yeah,
but it's still gonna go underneath the road.
it goes on the road, further down the road, it sort of loops back around.
If this is my property, water comes off of that lot, because it doesn't, there's no absorption. Okay, if you were to try to perk that land, you may find one or two spots you could perk
We did actually.
it. Okay, that's about all you're gonna get,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay? Because like I said, I'm very familiar with it, 25 years, it's been
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the water comes off of that, basically on the surface of that property,
Yeah.
and then it ends up going underneath the road. It comes through the swale, goes underneath the road, and I end up with water.
Do you
Well,
mean?
but that's that's been existing, that's been
Exactly.
happening, that's existing.
That's existing.
Right.
Right, this is
But
gonna
you'd like
com-
them, you'd
Yeah.
like them to
Well,
try to
this is gonna
fix it.
com-
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is gonna
yeah.
com- this is gonna
We'd like to get it
compound.
better, we'd like to get it better.
Well, Graves is
Yeah.
telling them
Yeah.
to do something with that
To make it
swale in the
better.
front.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm
to
hearing?
make it better, yeah.
So-
that's what
And
it
that's
sounds
why
like.
Yeah,
you
so-
want to put it into the detention?
What we proposed is the one outlet in this direction. And so what happens is the water goes in the basin here, goes through the outlet here, and then by virtue of the way the ground slopes, it's gonna find its way down
That's-
the hill
That would
into
be
the swale.
great, that would be great.
That would be great. That's not what Graves
But-
Engineering is asking, is asking.
Wait a
us to do,
minute,
though.
can we go back to Graves and say, we're concerned about this and we'd like to leave it the way it is?
Sure.
Why is Graves suggesting
Yeah,
that?
I
So what
don't,
it is there's, it's both a regulation, a town regulation and a DP regulation saying that
No more,
you can't increase,
post and pre.
the pre and post to one particular property. So for example, even though the water's gonna end up in the swale, it goes across this section of that property, this private property. And so we need to demonstrate that when you take this property as a whole, we're not increasing flows to it. And so the way to fix that issue is keep this discharge here, but decrease the amount of water that's going through it. So you keep this charge, you add another one over here, so you split the flows. You sort of divide it in half. And so when you do the analysis, the runoff going to this property here is less than what's going there now. And the runoff that's going to that swale is less than what's going there now.
That's good.
Even though, when
That's
you
good.
go
That's a good
100 feet down the road, they're all coming together anyways.
here's what the law is, Keith, on this, okay?
Yep.
The runoff that you're getting after this is done can't be any more than what it is now,
And how do we determine that?
the engineering.
Engineering.
So I need to hire an engineer?
No.
I already
Well,
paid
if
for it.
you disagree with that calculation,
Done.
it is what happens. He's their engineer.
Yep.
Graves Engineering is the town's engineer.
Oh,
They-
okay.
They look at this on behalf of the town.
Okay, all
So
right.
the-
On the
they're
other
the
I
ones,
didn't know who Graves was, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
they work with the town, where they'll look at that plan and say, no, this is what we want you to do. So it's not, he's not hiring, although he's paying for Graves, okay? they're
I just get the bill, that's all.
They're representing the town. I don't wanna mislead either. Somebody said, oh, well, it's gonna be less. I don't think it's gonna be less than
We're
what you
asking
get.
for this third-party review with all their facts
Oh,
and
yeah.
figures
Mhm.
and everything else. Question I have is because the gentleman has mentioned that that swale has been a problem in the past. Did you go talk to Sean Duvall, DPW?
About the swale?
Yeah, the
No.
swale and
I mean-
and overflowing that might be happening
I
there.
mean, who cleans that, how much, I mean, you've been there for 25 years, does it ever get cleaned out, does it ever?
No. Is that what the issue is? Is it overflowing at some point?
No, it all goes back to this being hard pan, clay. and when the water comes off of this whole lot,
Yep.
it just, it comes off the surface of the property, and once it gets to that swale, that swale's not enough to just flow the water down the street.
Okay.
It's just, the water goes right through the swale underneath the road.
It catches it, it drains in and goes
And
down.
it comes, it's sitting right on the surface of the road.
Well, I'm thinking
Or
maybe that,
Underneath, it's underneath the car is what it is.
I don't know who
Sean
put the
about-
swales in, but
Yeah.
talk to them, see if
Yeah.
there's something that could be done as you're modifying the this lot anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe increase the size of the swale, I don't know. I'm not.
Is there
I'm
another
not
way,
telling
another place you can dump that?
Sounds
No,
like
it all goes there now.
I think it's all going down the end of the road.
It all,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Eventually, what I don't get going across the road,
It goes down.
it goes down the road.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, so-
but there should be some kind of drainage, which the town, like I said,
Well,
I
that's what,
asked
that's
twice
what
over
it's
the
getting
years,
to, is who's.
and I got no,
Sounds-
it's nothing.
sounds
Sounds
Sounds like nothing's happened to that
It's
swale.
not Nick's,
25
it's
years.
not Nick's.
Fault, I know,
Fault,
I'm
yeah, I know.
not saying that, I'm
It's not
saying,
my-
Yeah.
I'm saying somebody did this swale thing, but
When they
they
cut the
might have
road in,
miscalculated
yeah,
how
yeah,
big it should
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
If you make the swale area
And
bigger,
since you're gonna be
That
modifying
wouldn't
the
help
whole lot
anything?
anyway,
No.
maybe you could help the town by
Well,
increasing
we
the size of the
might
swale.
actually improve a little bit because the two driveways are gonna be culverted.
Yeah.
So there's not gonna be any water getting out of the culvert, it's
Yeah.
in pipe.
and I think,
yeah, but he's saying the water's going underneath the road, right? It's not going on top of the road to your
No, it's
property.
going underneath the pavement.
Oh, we can't change,
The
that's,
swale's not doing
that's
it.
a town.
Yeah, the swale's not doing its job.
Well, that's
The
why.
town, the town swale is
Twice
not
over
doing its
in
job.
25 years, I have asked the town for help with it, they said there's nothing we can do.
that might be also just
No.
groundwater, like there is high groundwater here, so if, on this site.
Extremely high.
It is groundwater.
Oh, okay, yeah, so it's probably, the groundwater's probably like
Nothing, nothing,
20 inches below the surface,
nothing.
and this is higher
Yeah.
than this here, so just, the
Yeah.
water's just finding its way down.
Yeah.
I mean, your
If that's
water
the case,
table's
then
not
the town-
down.
There's no percolation at all for that water
Yeah.
to get down into a gravel base.
Yep.
It's just sitting
Yeah.
there and just, water will find its lowest spot.
Here's my question, Carl.
Yep.
There's no other way we can do the stormwater management without having the water go over that second,
So yeah,
I mean, is there another way we can do that so it doesn't go out into the road and go down to that second culvert?
no, so meet the regulation, I gotta balance
Okay.
to this property,
All right.
and in order to do that, I gotta balance to the swale, because right now, basically, the site slopes in this direction, and so this half of the property right here is all going to that swale. And so if I take that and I redirect it to this guy's property, it's an increase, so I gotta direct it this way, and I gotta direct it this way.
I think Rich has got a good point. It might be a good time to sit down and talk with Sean.
Yeah.
It might be an opportunity for the town to get some work done, and you pay for it.
So I'm,
But if
they're
they're
advocating for-
I'm all I'm kidding, but but I mean, it might say, oh, yeah, if you do this, we can do this, and.
But like you said, like, nothing's been done on that swale in 25 years, that's what you're telling me, nothing.
No, but this is something's gonna be done now, and all it's gonna do is increase, because it's
Well,
gonna
they
Well, it's
divert,
not
can't,
supposed
they
to.
can't
it's
make
gonna
it.
divert more water towards me.
Typically, they're designed
Yeah.
to resist that,
Correct.
to work that.
so if the water's going under the road,
There's
and
nothing.
it's groundwater,
There's nothing
then
we
the
can
the
do.
surface water from Nick's drain system
It's not gonna do
isn't
anything.
gonna be really impacting that, because
No.
it takes, like you said, it's hard pan, so once it's on the surface, it's not gonna find its way into the ground very easily, it's gonna go overland and go downstream.
Right.
But if it's getting discharged, it's gonna get more water discharged in one particular
Where's the pipe
location.
across the road? Do you have that?
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
I don't think there's pipe, I think it just
No.
finds its
No.
way.
Pipe?
What?
It just goes,
Right.
goes under the road and?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
the
just
road
like-
is
Just
actually,
weeps under the road.
It's groundwater.
I've got a whole
Groundwater's
grade
the
of the
problem.
road.
Coming up, yeah.
Not weeping under the road, it's the groundwater.
Yeah,
Water
coming,
tables.
and
Yeah.
it's coming up. The
Right.
water on your pipe is coming up, it's not
Right,
coming.
and I'm below grade,
And
I'm
that-
below
yeah,
the grade,
that's
he's
great.
above
That's
the grade.
groundwater, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
I
it's
talked to
not-
Sean, see
Yeah.
if there's anything.
I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah.
The swell, the swell's not gonna do help. any
But
of
we
that.
can guarantee him that it'll be no worse than what it is now.
Correct.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole
10
point.
years ago, you'd have been
so
screwed.
it's,
No, they passed a law where, that's what stormwater management is
No,
all
you're right.
about.
No, yeah.
They 10 years ago, they could have done this and dumped everything on your property. They're against the law.
Don't say we can guarantee it,
Oh.
say he can guarantee.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to guarantee. The engineer's supposed to
yeah,
guarantee.
Right.
And I'm sure in certain years it's better than, well, you know, when you get, you know, these wet years. it's
Yeah,
probably
we're not
worse than
guaranteeing
this,
anything.
Oh, no.
yeah. Right?
We had a very wet fall.
It's
It's constant.
It's constant for
No, it's
you?
not constant, it's this time of year, especially when it's frost in the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, the grass falls.
Okay, and you can see it,
Yeah.
you know, you can see it.
Okay.
You know, it's not flowing like
Yeah.
this fella, that was here earlier, said it's like.
Yeah, I know.
Like
He-
I have a
You don't want to
faucet.
see that, yeah, that's a
Well,
whole.
see,
How lucky you are, Keith.
I'm getting
You don't, you don't want, you don't want that.
I'm getting more water, I'm getting more water than I should be on my property, that's not my water.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it
yeah.
comes down to.
Well, you know what, it's probably following some legend in there too.
Yeah.
We haven't found that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Let's hope you don't.
No.
All right.
You find all those golf balls I used to hit up?
A bunch of them, actually. You want those back?
Nice,
All right.
nice.
Uh,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, entertain a motion to continue this public hearing
So moved.
till
We
March
can continue that to
9th,
March 9th,
March 9th at
7:05.
7:05 PM.
I'll second
So
it.
moved.
So moved by Chris.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Jeff. All those voting in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, carried unanimously.
Excuse me.
Good luck.
Okay,
One more.
Just one question, you'll have more answers on this March 9th meeting?
yes.
Yeah. 'cause
Yes.
he's gonna-
I'll talk to Sean.
He's gonna revise his
Yeah.
plan.
And you go over, yeah. go
Yeah,
over
he's
with
gonna
the-
revise the plan.
He's gonna conform,
What
he's gonna do the plan so it conforms to what they said.
What Graves had,
Okay.
yeah.
Don't take too long so Graves can see it, and we won't be talking about plans tonight, okay?
We'll figure it out.
We will, I know. Don't worry. No, it's not big. I don't, I'm not trying to cost you money, I'm not trying to,
We'll get it done.
I don't trust.
All right,
It'll probably be better than it is
I
now.
lost my notes.
I know, I did too.
They're
actually.
they're in,
I got
Further
it.
downhill before it
Folder
comes
somewhere,
in, so
okay.
we're gonna collect all the stuff that's,
all we got
you know, on
left
the
is
south
the
side.
large scale ground mount.
Take it away.
Solar energy system, discussion of the bylaw.
Mary, this looks great.
The only problem is that your applicability has a question mark that they've gotta come up with, I think that's what.
Oh, yes.
You're on the ramp.
You bet.
Why don't we start
All
there?
right. I make
Planning board shall approve no more than blank, total large scale.
I like 15.
How many we got now?
So we have 51
Yeah.
Fiddle Hill Road.
Thanks, guys.
Speak out.
We have Bike
Put it
Hill,
Barton Road.
Maple Ave,
Maple Ave.
17 Joe Jenny, 191 Old Webster Road, 45 Barton Road.
And no-
It's the road across from the high school there where American Legion is, what's that?
Federal Hill.
Federal Hill.
there's one,
Yeah, I got
That was the
that.
first
Okay.
one.
The one where,
How many you have there?
Clara Barton Road.
Robin.
Well, that hasn't been
That's,
built yet.
yeah,
Oh, hasn't
that's
been
not.
built.
it's-
How about
it's
Clara
been
Barton Road?
approved.
Yeah, that
Did you
It's
get
been
that?
approved though.
45 Clara Barton Road.
Wasn't there one on off of Charlton Street too? That one?
That never got
No,
off. That
never.
was up on a hill, that never
Yeah.
went anywhere.
Okay, so Maple
Joe
Ave,
Zenny?
former pig farm,
Yeah.
17 Joe Jenny, and 191 Old Webster Road. So,
How many?
5.
5.
I think we should make the number 5.
That's how it's-
Oh, no.
okay.
Hey, as far as the state's
Sorry.
concerned, there's
I like
plenty
that.
of room for more.
The one, the town one, right?
Huxley
I
Road.
was just gonna say, what about Oxley?
Yep, all right, so there were 6.
Jeez, but we had all those other
Oh,
ones
we're
that didn't
already
go.
over.
Alright, I reduced it to 10 now, I'll go with 10. That's my number.
10?
10.
Okay.
I don't like 40, I don't like 15, 10 is a good number for this. 10's not that big.
You know, the state won't be happy until all our land is covered with them, and there's no more generating of electricity, except they got a problem when it's cloudy out, snowing out, or nighttime.
Mary knows my feeling on
Yeah, I know.
So,
And did we decide, what did we decide on what's large too? Do we make it?
Did we say 5 acres? And 30% of it, was it 10?
I thought it was 10.
And 30% of it's gotta be woods or something?
Okey-dokey.
There's something in there.
Well, the definition you're using here is based on kilowatts, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Megawatts.
Right, so a large-scale ground-mounted
There is a definition of it.
250 kilowatt or
Yeah, 3.8.
greater.
That's minimum,
than-
it's be greater. I don't think we can propose a maximum, since we got one now that's as big as one's ever gonna get.
Yeah.
No, we'll go with the 10.
I'll stick with
I don't
10,
care,
yeah.
go with 10.
And it says clearing shall be limited to 30% of the total parcel,
Yeah, what section is that, Norman?
6.7.
Okay, yep.
And my only other comment was on the, I think the trees should be maintained for the perpetuity of the.
Yes,
site.
I did
Not-
these
not
notes.
3 years.
I did these notes based on
Yep.
my notes that I had written on my previous version.
Mhm.
And then I listened to the minutes and realized that I missed a few
Okay.
things.
Well, I like the fact you got
Yeah.
the 300 feet in the field and 200 feet in the woods.
Yeah,
That'll help the scenery.
so one of the things I had missed, Jeff, was the, maintenance of the
Yes.
trees and landscaping
Yeah.
for the lifetime of the, project.
So if we agree with this, we gotta get it approved by the Attorney General? Is that how this works?
It has to be approved by town meeting and then.
Then the Attorney
Then
General.
the Attorney General.
And how about the,
Wait a minute.
When's the warrant then? End of March?
I'm not 100% sure. Usually on a Tuesday when the selectmen
Yeah.
meet, so it could be anywhere from March 17th, 24th, or 31st.
Well,
I
anyway,
don't know off the
let's
top of my
do
head.
another redo and we'll vote on it on the 10th. Is that okay, Mary?
On the 9th
Our meeting, yeah.
of
9th,
March?
right. 9th of March.
Okay,
We'll just
I
have one more
have-
go through with it.
I have sent
Can I ask
her,
one question?
Yeah.
I just wanna ask, the lieutenant, not lieutenant.
Captain.
Captain, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't even know if lieutenant is better than captain.
He's been called worse.
I've been called.
Okay, so what is your?
Private.
we gotta
You know,
close
Just,
it.
he just doesn't like the word chief,
In a,
okay?
in a Reader's Digest format, what is your problem with solar farms?
They take away green space and wildlife.
Okay. Alright. I just
And
want
this
to get.
bylaw-
No, I'm an avid outdoorsman.
this bylaw is geared toward reducing the amount of
Opportunity for that.
deforestation.
Deforestation.
You're not the only one that feels that way, that's one reason why I would rewrite
And
the
the
bylaw.
deforestation.
That's one of the
good,
things that
right.
other people are
Right.
concerned about too.
And, so Scott,
My concern is whatever electricity they can put out during a normal day, they should have storage for half that, so they can use it at night too. So it can,
So that's the battery storage?
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a lot of
Lot of
people
problems
very
with that.
dissatisfied with battery storage.
leaking.
The noise.
The hazardous
leaking.
same thing with the
Yeah,
ones that have it
yeah.
on their roof, they should
Yeah.
have batteries in their
Some of them
their
do.
property.
Some of the roof solar mounts do have batteries, backups.
That's
I
right.
But it's not,
investigated it
it's,
once. They said
it's,
I can only use it on a day.
It's expensive.
it's not so much expensive, there are risks with that.
And they only last so long too.
Did we see
They only have
anything of when they any fees being applied for when they have to
For
dismantle?
decommissioning?
Decommissioning, I didn't see anything. really.
There
There
is,
there is, it's in the back.
I saw that.
Section 11.
It doesn't say you keep the 50 Gs
Oh, I thought that was just,
all the way through.
oh, is that section
Then
12?
you create something
So-
else.
Is that what this, is that the section 12 is, the surety?
financial surety.
Okay, that's what that is, okay.
So the
But you gotta go under
12.1 is to get a cash deposit. Probably at the time they apply for a building permit.
Yeah,
Just so they
We
stabilize.
should write that in here.
Stabilization.
In case the applicant abandons the project.
yeah,
Or in the event the construction of the project is deemed to be negligent, that it necessitates the planning board to intervene. So that's what that first
alright,
amount is for.
Yeah.
The second amount, prior to the issuance of a building permit,
I didn't see
the
that.
applicant shall provide a form of surety through a cash deposit bond or this is 12.2.
Oh, okay, 12.2, okay,
Yep.
that,
Should
okay.
we have that, 12 point?
It
I
should
have
be
two of them
green.
and I don't see a 12.2.
I got 12.2, yeah.
Yeah, it's missing on mine.
Page 6.
I got it right
Bottom
there.
of page.
Oh, yeah, right
six.
here.
Yeah, right here.
See
Okay,
12?
yeah, I see, yeah, it's it.
12.1, 12.2.
Oh, right there in front of me.
Okay. So that section is for the purpose
Comes with
of
experience, Craig.
Yeah.
decommissioning the system, and the applicant
Okay.
shall submit a fully inclusive estimate prepared by a PE that shall include the costs
Okay.
associated with removal and
Yeah.
disposal.
Because, again, that amount could change to anything, you know, depending on the size and whatever they're doing, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so is that
Yeah,
sufficient
no, that's
for
good.
them
That's
to
good.
provide something, or do
Yeah.
you want a specific?
No, I like that, I
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, last meeting, Craig, you had talked about, schedule of inspections.
Yeah.
And I forgot to include that in this version, so I'd like to get that in there. I can do a little bit of research on construction, sequence of inspections for a general construction project that might spell out, you had said, erosion control, clearing,
Yep.
stormwater components, access roads for the fire department,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, you can, if you want, I can do that. I'll do a little Googling myself. I mean,
Okay.
we've done a couple projects where I work,
Okay, you
so
wanna,
we may have something
you wanna send
that I
it to
can
me?
throw by, just like a guide maybe.
Okay, that's great. She did put in there that they gotta do reports, submit field reports.
The problem with that is enforcing them.
That's
We
a
put them in
problem.
as conditions the last several, and they never got followed up on. But at least if we got it in the bylaw, they know up front. That's a good idea, but.
The other thing I forgot to add in was inspections by a third-party engineer on behalf of the town
Oh, yeah.
that the applicant will pay for.
Yeah.
And we can make it, you know, we can put in this bylaw that they do this phase, they come to us, they move on to the next phase, you know, we approve it that way rather than just letting them go 4 months hard wild, and then we go, hey, what happened to our 3 inspections you were supposed to do?
And that's what exactly happens. Time goes by, people forget about it,
Right.
and before you know it, the project's done.
Right.
Right, and they usually only have one construction season to build it,
Yeah,
have to hurry up and get it done.
Okay,
all right.
thank you,
You
Mary.
said the visual mitigation, you're gonna put in perpetuity for that?
Oh, for the maintenance of the landscaping,
Yeah.
for the I have a note here, I forgot to add that.
So taking the thing down, is there a specific number we're gonna try to get?
No, we'll
How does that work?
somebody will give us
Their engineer will
will
come
give
up
us
with
a
a
number.
dollar value.
And then we'll require that when we grant the permit, okay?
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yep, that's good.
So I have sent this initial draft off to town council, so they can get a look at it sooner rather than later.
Shoot it all down.
I also sent it to Fire Department and Conservation Commission, for their input. I got an email from Captain Sellers today talking about the height of the fence, why not higher than 8 feet? And I think it's a height of 8 feet, and what does this specify?
It becomes a
It's a
structure.
structure, if it's over
It
8
becomes-
feet, it's
So
10,
it
it's
becomes a structure
structure, if it's over 10 feet, yeah.
and wind load and, so.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what fire department, since the very first approval of
Yeah, I
51
just-
Federal Hill Road was an
I
8-foot
didn't,
fence.
I don't know where, I don't know where Chief Bemis came up with
Okay,
the 8 foot. That was the only reason why I was asking. I didn't
Okay.
know. I
Probably
don't know
due
where
to
that-
It's
building
just
code.
codes, yeah.
came
I
up
remember
with.
that one, I
Because
went
she-
over 20.
she didn't consult with me when she-
I was there.
So I was,
Okay.
that's fine,
okay.
that's fine.
He's right here, he's on his back looking. He's
All right.
Yeah.
If anybody thinks of anything else,
All right.
No, very good,
let
Mary,
me know.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, make a motion.
Hey, someone's gotta make a motion.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
All those voting in favor? Aye.